Okay, the last time I did a walkthrough, I mentioned Dubois Brewery and Dubois Budweiser. Well, I wanted to come back on and give a little information about that. And this is the location of the old brewery. And here is a genuine bottle from 1957. Budweiser was made here from 1905 till 1972. Actually, no, until 1968. And then they sold Dubois Brewery to Iron City Brewery in Pittsburgh. And they continued to make Dubois Budweiser. Now, Budweiser is not a person's name or anything, so they weren't, the name Budweiser wasn't like copyrighted or some kind of a infringement on anyone. It came from the town of Budweiser, Czechoslovakia. Now, obviously, that's an English version of how to pronounce that name. I don't know how to say it in Czech, but it was brought over here. The recipe for the ale that was known for, that the town of Budweiser was known for, it was a specific recipe, and it was brought over here, and then Anheuser-Busch started to use that name, and this is Budweiser, meaning it's from Budweiser, Czechoslovakia. So nobody thought it was a big deal to make Budweiser beer, if it was another brewery. So that's what this town did. They had a brewery here. I think it opened up around 1900 or 1904 or something, and it started to make Budweiser, like Dubois Budweiser. It's a version of the Budweiser recipe from Budweiser, Czechoslovakia. So that's what happened. Now in 1940, Anheuser-Busch started to get really popular, and they wanted to take everybody to court, which I think there was over 20 different breweries using the name Budweiser because it was just a name of a recipe. But they wanted to copyright that name, and they took people to court all the way till 1972 before they actually won the court case. And in 1972, everybody in America who was making this Budweiser was stopped from using that name, and so that's the history of it. So it originally started in Budweiser, Czechoslovakia, and then it was brought over here. The Anheuser-Busch brewery started to make it in 1876, and because it wasn't a name proper or whatever, it wasn't like there was a copyright to that name or it was a family name, so other breweries started to make Budweiser, including the Dubois Brewery. So they used it until 1940. They started to get trouble from the Anheuser-Busch, brewery. They fought them in court for 32 years, all the way till 1972, and then the court sided with Anheuser-Busch at that point. And that's the history. And it was made here until 1968, and there is a lot of breweries in Pennsylvania. They stopped the beer making here in 68, I think it was. They sold the rights to the company to a brewery in Pittsburgh called Iron City Brewery, and they started making Dubois Budweiser with their Dubois Budweiser recipe. And in 1972 they were told to stop by the courts, and from then on, the Anheuser-Busch, at least in America, they are the only ones permitted to use Budweiser. So that's the history. It's kind of interesting, I think. And I got this bottle for a couple of bucks from an antique dealer. There it is, Dubois Budweiser. And this bottle is from 1957, actually. And this is the location of the brewery. And the brewery shut down, I think, in the 70s sometime, and then it laid mostly vacant, and it was tore down in the early 90s, I think, or the late 80s. And the chimney stacks for the brewery were actually, still up. until 1997 or something, and that was the final, you know, deal. And somewhere around here they have something, a place that was used as what they call the ice house or the refrigeration house. And I think the guy whose name was Han, who was the owner of the brewery, I think that is his house over there. But yeah, this was the original location all through here. Yeah, so yeah, I've got mixed feelings about beer because I know, you know, I've seen what it does to people. And I really don't like drinking too often, but I do enjoy the body high, and, you know, that alcohol can give you a little bit as long as I don't take it too far, because I get hangovers. I'm prone to hangovers. So, and I've seen what it does to people, you know, alcohols. I'm not a real fan of alcohol, even though I do enjoy it in small doses. And I'm not a fan of Budweiser. I never have been a fan of Budweiser. But yeah, that's a little history of Dubois and the use of the name, where it all came from, Budweiser, here in Dubois, PA, on this beautiful Sunday, 12/29/24. It is like a spring day. I ain't kidding you. It is really like spring. It's lovely. Well, anyways, hope everybody is having a lovely day wherever they are. And from Dubois, the old Budweiser, well, actually the old Dubois Brewery, and a little bit of history behind the name Budweiser. This is Main Street. It's about 3 or 4 blocks from downtown. Dubois, over and out for now.